It's Saturday, so it must be me, Geordie Pete Redding. Welcome to the show with more mouth than Tyson Fury's dad, the show that everyone wants to be a part of, and you can be soon because we are going to be allowing you to enter into the studio. God help us. It's been a massive week in the world of football as we approach the climax of the domestic season, with Jack Grealish in the headlines this morning as Gucci's new pin-up boy. Well, sorry, mate, you're not the only one. Welcome to Soccer Saturday with me, Geordie Pete Redding.
Pete, he's gone. John, hey, welcome, John. Welcome. Listen,
I'm more Primark than Gucci.
Listen, I know that, and you know what, John? It's great to have you on. Pete, obviously, Pete's having a little bit of issues with his internet.
We'll carry on, Kev.
But it's really good to see you, John. How you been, mate?
I've been good. It's been a great week, hasn't it? And it continues. It continues this weekend, Kev. Some very big games, as you well know. I think there's one you want to mention, isn't there?
Yeah. Listen. Yeah, there is one. I actually don't want to mention it until Pete gets in because he's going to give me plenty of stick for the Merseyside Derby and Everton. He loves to give out stick. Now that Newcastle are safe, he's got both barrels ready for me.
Hey,
mate.
six home wins on the trot. Never been done before. Well, Sir Bobby Robson was the last time it was done. Fantastic. I mean, when you look back, Kev, to the beginning of the season, and you see where Newcastle were and what's happened since, it's been an amazing turnaround. A lot of people had them dead and buried, but a little thing called the takeover happened, didn't it, in January, and that's changed it completely.
But John, not only the takeover, but I think Eddie Howe as well. I think Eddie Howe has done a really good job. But hold on, here he is. Can you hear us?
Sorry about that.
Oh,
yeah, just had Jack Grealish on the line.
Oh, it was Jack Grealish, was it?
Anyway, we've finished everything.
My apologies.
We've just been talking Newcastle.
My apologies.
We've been talking Newcastle.
Okay, and how was that going, Kev? Given them that Eddie Howe should be manager of the month, manager of the year even.
Yeah, we're getting on to that, Kev, weren't we?
Yeah, we were getting on to that. We were talking about where Newcastle were as a team. The wins at home, Pete. Was it 6 wins in a row?
Yeah.
Have been unbelievable. But there has to be, obviously, the takeover made a huge difference. But certain credit we were just getting onto was Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe. Many probably didn't want Eddie Howe, Pete. Yeah. Many Toon fans didn't want him. But he's an astute manager.
Well, he was second choice, wasn't he? It was Unai Emery who was the first choice. Yeah. Although Unai Emery hasn't done badly, has he? Villarreal in the semi-finals of Champions League. But as you're saying, Kev, Eddie Howe, what a job. Manager, never mind manager of the month, I think manager of the year, the way things are going.
Unbelievable.
Saying as well today, John, that possibly, given that Newcastle are safe, although he won't admit it in the press conferences, rightly so, he might change it up a little bit. You might see a little bit of a change Newcastle side at Norwich City later.
Yeah, I think there will, because it's been the same side 2 games running, hasn't it? And some of them are running on empty. But the first time, it's the first weekend it sounds terrible, this, but I'm not worried anymore. Not worried if we lose. You know, it's been panic stations, hasn't it, over the last few months? But thankfully, they stay 40 points, and let's just enjoy the rest of the season. You know, as far as Newcastle's concerned.
Absolutely. Okay, sadly, we had to postpone the appearance of Paul Miller, Spurs legend, today. So our thoughts go out to him with his family. He's looking after his family today. But as Kev's probably introduced, we welcome back John Ricco Richardson, our own 007 of sports journos, the man with the golden pen. Kev, I'm going to start with you. Let's get stuck in. It's a massive weekend of football, and it's always a fascinating fixture, but it's Arsenal against Man United. There's a lot at stake in the early game, isn't there?
There is, Pete, and may I just say deepest condolences to Cristiano Ronaldo and his wife and family.
Absolutely.
For the passing of their little baby, and you know, it's good to see the football family come together, and you know, even at Anfield, you know, the Anfield crowd were fantastic, clapping Ronaldo and stuff. So just want to get out the way at the start. But listen, it's Manchester United coming to the Emirates, and Arsenal need to turn up. They turned up against Chelsea, and wouldn't it just be typical of this Arsenal side? Palace, Brighton, and Southampton, they get beat, and all of a sudden they go to Stamford Bridge. Nobody gives them a chance, and they do them 4-2. Now that just makes today even bigger, because you know what? That top 4 spot, it's a race now between Arsenal and Spurs, with Man United close. Arsenal could knock Man United out of the running with a win today.
John, looking at this fixture, I mean, it's something that, you know, you look at it straight off and say the way Man United are playing, they could get beat anywhere they go. But it's a strange old fixture, isn't it? And Arsenal, again, you never know which Arsenal's turning up, as Kev said, all through this season. So Man United could pose a bit of trouble today at the Emirates.
As we all know, it's got great history. You know, it was the rivalry, wasn't it? As Kev knows, you know, it was the rivalry for many years. You know, Arsene Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson, toe-to-toe, tie-to-tie. But, you know, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I covered Man United just a few weeks ago against Leicester. And I must admit, it's probably the worst Manchester United team I've seen in a long while. You know, I can remember the relegation side, you know, of the 70s. No, not as bad as that.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, there wasn't much unity. You know, we had Bruno Fernandes throwing his arms up in the air all the time. I mean, Cristiano wasn't playing then, but you had Paul Pogba just going through the motions. You just thought, what has happened to this football club? You know, the fans were getting anxious, they're getting on their backs, and you know, everybody really, although you don't support Manchester United, you know what a great institution it is, what a great football club it is. And that day it was a shambles. And moving on, you know, we now know who the next manager is, Ten Hag. That's going to be interesting. But I hear that, you know, speak obviously to people around the club, and Ralph Rangnick has had a hard job. You know, a lot of the players haven't taken to him. He's, I know people who go to the training ground, they haven't liked what they've seen, blah, blah, blah. And I think that you see that on the pitch. A lot of people don't know what they're doing. But having said all that, we know what football's like. It can throw up surprises, and you can't rule Manchester United out. And also, as you know, Arsenal being very inconsistent. They're basically a young side, aren't they? So, you know, you do get inconsistent performances. So it's going to be very interesting, a very important game.
Kev, I mean, you obviously, we know that you've got to fancy Arsenal being the home side, but it's imperative today because it feels like you've had a couple of get away with it because the results haven't gone well, but then it's turned around again at Chelsea. So today is an absolute golden chance, isn't it? Yeah,
Arsenal. We've been asking for favours, Pete. We've asked for favours. We got a favour of Brighton last week, and then we couldn't do the business against Southampton, but that gave us a little bit of leeway. Chelsea game was our game in hand, which obviously could have really caused us a lot of damage. To get 3 points in that game and be level pegging with Spurs, you know, now, as I said, it's a race to the finish. We play early. we could get this win. Then you're asking Brentford, do us a favour later on. And, I think it's going to go down to the North London Derby. I think it's really going to go down to that game. Who gets top four?
Brentford could do them a favour. What a story that would be, John, if Christian Eriksen comes back to haunt his old club.
It is the story of the season, isn't it? Christian Eriksen, absolutely magnificent. And what a job, we talked about Eddie Howe, but what a job Thomas Frank has done. Absolutely amazing. I saw a bit of Brentford last season, covered a few of their championship games. And he thought, fantastic, well done. You're going up, you're going to come down again. Simple as that. But they proved people wrong. And, he's great to deal with, Thomas Frank, as well. He always answers all your questions. He's really top bloke to deal with. And I'm delighted for him, delighted for the club. And obviously, we're all delighted for Christian Eriksen. What a great story. Yeah. And, there's talk that Tottenham might, want to take him back in the summer. That'd be very hard on Brentford because, they've brought him back and hopefully he might show a little bit of loyalty. But, it's up to him. But it's a fantastic story.
I'm sure there'll be others in there as well, John, for him, don't you think?
Well, there might be one in the northeast, might there?
Yeah, well,
Sunderland.
He's off to the Borough.
Yeah, he's going to the Borough. Oh man,
brilliant stuff, Kev. Listen, I wanted to, that I always like to just poke it with a little bit of a stick, but it is a serious question I've got for you, and I expect a serious answer. Now, Dean Smith's Aston Villa tenure. This gets my goat, don't you?
Yes.
He lost 5 in a row, and he got the bullet. And now I'm not for 1 minute suggesting Stevie G is under that amount of pressure, but if he loses at Leicester, he's 5 straight defeats. Will he feel the pressure?
Listen, there's pressure for every manager, Pete. But I think the direction that Aston Villa went in getting Steven Gerrard in, I think he's got the confidence and the trust of the owners, and they're going to allow him to reshape Aston Villa. Because, he could make a few signings, etc., but it's not really his team yet, Pete. It's not his team yet. So,
okay.
He's going with the majority of Dean Smith players, but I think it's going to be a really big summer for Aston Villa and Steven Gerrard, because next season there's no freebies, Pete. He's got to hit the ground running.
I agree 100%.
Absolutely.
With what Kev said there, Pete. I covered Villa a few weeks ago at Villa Park, and yes, he has got the backing of the owners, but a lot of the fans, they were very uncertain. Some of them were starting to turn. So you can have as we all know, you can have the backing of the owners, etc., etc. But as Kev rightly says, I think the summer is very important, and we'll judge him halfway through next season. But the pressure is there.
There's another player that might not be at the club that gave them an opportunity. If you look at Coutinho, John, his options are up because he was on he's on a loan, isn't he? Which is obviously over come the end of the season. And I sort of heard rumours that Villa possibly won't pay what the asking fee is. So that could be a big blow to Gerrard's plans as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. That I saw that as well, Pete. And you thought, well, if you've got big plans, Villa, well, pay is it 40 million? Pay the 40 million that Philip Coutinho would need to take him there. But there are other clubs. Again, one in the northeast I think they're looking at everybody at the moment. Talking about Newcastle, go. Yeah. So he will go somewhere. But I mean, I imagine that Steven Gerrard would be very happy if Coutinho, slips out of his grasp, because he's been the playmaker, hasn't he, over the last few weeks? A very good player.
And they're quite close, aren't they?
Yeah, very close. But I mean, that's why he's there. And there's talk of Luis Suarez going there in the summer as well. Obviously Liverpool connections again. Now, I don't know if that's the right move, because Suarez now 34, 35. I think he's had his best days. But Kev's right. It's going to be a very interesting summer. It's going to be a huge turnover, I think. Okay,
speaking of more intriguing games, and I'm up this weekend, Chelsea, West Ham, Kev, and I find given that West Ham need
5
the
helicopters.
results.
5
Chelsea-
helicopters it is. It's a 5 helicopter. Pete, hey,
Yeah.
Pete, let me tell you something. This really is a serious game because you know what? I think the Chelsea faithful are not happy. Losing against Brentford, getting battered against Brentford, getting battered against Arsenal. You know, now you've got West Ham coming to town. Well, they better turn up. They better turn up in this game because another London derby, second one in a week, Pete. As I said, the 5 helicopter job. This is some serious pressure. This is a pressure cooker, this game. It really is.
I wouldn't advise going shopping on the King's Road today.
No.
Stick to Oxford Street, I tell you.
Very interesting. Very interesting boys on Declan Rice, isn't it? What's going to happen there? Turn down another contract. Turn down another contract offer. So you think that maybe he could be off in the summer?
I think somebody.
Where would you see him going, John?
Well, if I was Liverpool, and I don't think they are interested, I'd take him because I think he's the replacement for Jordan Henderson, and I think that Liverpool will be so strong with Declan Rice. But it appears to be between Manchester United and Chelsea. Now he's a Chelsea fan, isn't he? So
yeah, he was there as a kid, wasn't he? And then he left.
Yeah.
But obviously, John, what's going on at Chelsea at the moment with takeovers and all that kind of thing? You know, that could prove to be a real problem. I think Manchester United are desperate for somebody like him.
Yeah.
Desperate.
Yeah, he would he'd help transform the team, wouldn't he? Without a doubt.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Brings me nicely in, John. Speaking of Manchester United, as all of you journalists and media colleagues have no doubt been doing and have followed him. I was chatting about him before the show this morning, but Manchester United now, what a job it is to do. Our friend from Ajax is going to be on his way. What do we know about Ten Hag, John, and what do you think his first job is to do at Old Trafford?
The first thing I've learned it's Ten Hag. Ten Hag. There's no G.
No G.
Although I think we're all going to say
G.
Ten Hag. We're all going to say Ten Hag, but that's my little bit of Dutch for you. Well, he's got a hell of a job on his hands because, let's be fair, when it annoys me a little bit when the Glazers get stick. All right, they get stick quite rightly for taking money out of the club. But I can tell you, talking to Alex Ferguson during the years and other people, David Gill, the Glazers have allowed Manchester United to spend really what they want on players. It's just the recruitment has been abysmal. You know, you look at the recruitment generally through the Premier League, and it's not very good. I think Liverpool's has been excellent. Kevin and I mentioned Everton earlier. That's been shocking. And I think Manchester United's recruitment's been shocking. So you've got to have the right players there. Yeah. And it's all right saying, oh, he's got to go. They're all on good money. There's 10 or 11 players you probably could shift. But, you know, who's going to take them on £250,000 a week? So you've got that problem. Obviously, he'll want to bring his own players in, but you've got financial fair play. I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a job, and it just you can't flick a switch and Man United are going to be great again. It's going to take time. But what I hear about him, he's obviously proved himself with Ajax, but as we know, the Premier League is a different kettle of fish, and it's going to be very interesting. So I think, summing up, I think the jury has to be out, and we see how he operates.
Pete, can I just add to what John said, because John makes some really good points. I think Ten Hag worked with Steve McLaren, didn't he?
Yeah.
He worked with Steve McLaren,
yes.
And I think that might be him flipping the switch. I think he might get Steve McLaren in. Obviously, Steve McLaren knows Manchester United. He's been a Manchester United man, knows the club from the inside out. So maybe that appointment could probably be the best move he does.
Kev, I'd agree with that. I would agree with that because Steve McLaren, you know, people sort of mock him and everything. I tell you what, Steve McLaren is a very good coach.
He's a football man, isn't he? Yes.
Football man. And alongside Ten Hag, could see that, Kev.
Definitely. But do you know what? I just think you look at the recruitment. Obviously, Pogba's going to go.
Yeah.
I reckon they need 10 players.
Yeah.
They need to get 10 out, and they need 10 players,
Yeah.
functional players. Because
Yeah.
you know what, John? Even in their greatest sides, they still had the players that were functional. They weren't great, but they would do a job.
Absolutely.
And that everybody wants the big names at the back of the shirts. No, they need functional players who can do the job.
The Nicky Butts of this world.
There you go. Nicky, even Gary Neville's of this world, Phil Neville's,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
Jason
not all
Park.
glamour, is it? You've got to have different.
You have the
players.
worker bees. Yeah, you know, you've got Fletcher. You've got to have the worker guys in there who are a bit like they're the glue. You've got your Roy Keanes and your Scholes and your Giggs and all that fancy Cole, York, Sheringham, and all those guys. But the glue is the not so glamorous players.
Yeah. And you've got to have an attitude. You've got to have a good attitude, haven't you?
Yes.
You know, you're playing with Manchester United. I remember talking to Mickey Thomas, and he said he scared the life out of him. He couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Now, quite a lot of players at Man United are too blasé. You know, they don't realise they're playing for an institution, aren't they? You know, a fantastic club.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? The Premier League isn't the Premier League without a good Manchester United.
I agree. I agree.
I think they need to step up. They got to be better. Sorry, Pete.
To lose a few games,
especially today. Can you hear us, Pete?
Come in, Pete. Join us.
I can try. Our internet in the desert isn't working sufficiently well, unfortunately. So I'm losing myself as well as you guys, unfortunately. But I can just about make you out. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you, mate. We can hear you.
Okay, good. It's going to be a challenge.
It's called the John Richardson takeover. He's taking over.
Hollywood. I'm just glad I've got you two guys who can hold the show for me. Where's the IT expert?
We've done Man United for you, Pete. We've done Man United for you.
That's finished. Okay, we can move on. Okay, listen, Kev, I actually wanted to feature. I was going to ask you, can you remember and recall the days where you were on the team bus with all your teammates?
Yes.
Spot of cards at the back, gaffer at the front.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring a club up that we mention a lot on this show. Forest Green Rovers are going to be the first team in the world to transport its players to a game this weekend on an electric-powered coach. Powered by a 281k battery capacity, 470 horsepower, and an incredible 2,360 pounds of torque. The 18.5-ton vehicle has a range of 200 miles plus, and it takes just 2 hours, and it only uses 0 to 100% of emissions. There you go.
Well,
have you ever been on a bus like that, Kev?
Pete, definitely not, because let me tell you something. We were in the era of all of a sudden catalytic converters were put on cars and coaches. Do you remember those days? Yeah. So no, I'd love to. I'm sure it is smooth and it's going to be special. So it'll be interesting to get a picture, Pete, of that bus.
If my internet was working, there we go.
Oh,
I tell you what, it's a bit snazzy, that, isn't it?
No.
Lovely.
Oh, there's not
John,
a
that looks like it looks like the ritzy nightclub on Newgate Street in Newcastle inside.
Or Gray's Club.
That's the one. It's a fantastic club, Kevin, isn't it? I mean, obviously we feature them regularly on the show and always keep up to date with them, but they have stuck to their word. And by the way, top of the league, they just need a good result this weekend, and they're up again. So fair play to them.
Yeah, fair play. They seem to have a plan, Pete. And they're sticking to the plan. You know, they're doing all the good stuff regarding the environment. And you know what? They've got a good side as well, Pete, haven't they? They've got a really good side. So, fair play to them, Pete. You know, if they get promotion this weekend, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Good manager.
Okay,
good manager as well. Good manager.
Yeah, great manager. John, I wanted to ask your thoughts.
I don't like the vegan pies, though.
Oh, you're not having that, are you?
Good steak and kidney one, any day.
Brilliant. Old school. Listen, John, I wanted to ask your thoughts about it, and I've sort of had my own issues with it this week. But the BBC documentary on your good friend Gaza, in my opinion, it seemed to focus heavy on the media and the part they played in our Gaza's downfall. Really.
Yeah, well, I watched the first one. I couldn't watch the second one because I was appalled by it, to be honest. I think they had the wrong people on it. They had people that didn't really know him. I enjoyed the archive,
Sure.
stuff with him. That was great. But I mean, obviously, I was around at those times, and I was his columnist. And for instance, they had a bloke from the Sun called Neil Wallace. Now, the only thing Neil Wallace did was read some of my copy sometimes. That he didn't do anything else. He was the expert on Gaza all of a sudden. So once you have that, you think, oh no, I don't fancy this at all. So I just thought it was exploitation of him, and I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all, to be honest, Pete.
If there was one positive from something that was quite poorly put together, it did show that those people that led to his downfall that refused to come on the show, John. And what I'm getting at here is Piers Morgan and Rebecca Brooks.
Well, I could tell you a story about Rebecca Brooks, or Rebecca Wade, as she was then. We were in, Gaza had moved to Lazio then, so we're obviously in Rome, and I spent a lot of time with him doing his column. And one day there's a knock at my hotel door, and it's this Rebecca Wade saying, "Oh, John, can you help me? I want to set up an interview with Cheryl, who was then Gaza's fiance, I think." So I said, "Yeah, I'll have a word with Gaza. Don't think there should be any problem." Anyway, so cut long story short, set it up so Cheryl could be interviewed by Rebecca. Anyway, later that night, I'm in the bar, surprise, and she finds me. She's in tears. I said, "What's the matter?" "Oh, it's gone wrong. I couldn't get the right stuff out of her. She's taken an instant dislike to me, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get the sack. If I don't get her. Can you try and set it up again?" Oh, God. So the next day, training ground, I said to Gaz, I said, "Look, the poor girl, she could lose her job here." "Oh, man, Cheryl didn't like her, didn't like the questions, didn't like..." "Oh, no." I said, "Look, Gaza, honestly, she could get the sack." He's a soft touch, and he's a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
He said, "All right, then I'll have another word. Anyway, Cheryl decided, okay, I'll give her another chance. And the rest, as they say, is history, because they became bosom pals, and she just rose and rose and rose. And I'm here.
Telling it like it is, though.
Very lucky girl.
I just find it incredible when you look at it, and given the absolute, I mean, when you talk about that Lazio time, John, and what was frightening from that TV program was the footage of this. I mean, when he arrived, it was like,
I was with him.
Take that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it was like, take that.
It was frightening. I mean, I'm a bit claustrophobic anyway, so to be hemmed in with all that, not good.
I've got to say, though, because we are a show that focuses on the positive, my favourite clip of it was when a young Gaza, one of his first press conferences with Spurs, and this reporter stuck his hand up and he says to Gaza, he said, "Newcastle, are you going back to Newcastle for the first time?" He said, "What sort of reception do you expect?" And Gaza just turned and looked at him and he said, "A big one, probably with two blokes behind it for the suitcases." Best bit of the 2-hour documentary for me.
Phenomenal
play.
Brilliant. Phenomenal play.
Absolutely brilliant. Okay, as we're pressing on and the internet seems to be working okay, it's time to, Kev, we're going to come to you for the baller of the week. Have you got one for us?
Of course. Pete, I have got a beauty for you. Listen, his contract's up at the end of the season at Arsenal, but Eddie Nketiah was put in at number 9. He gets 2 goals, and Arsenal win the game 4-2. I just think, he's done a great job. He hasn't complained. He's never moaned, Pete, and he's just got on with it. And I'm going to give it to Eddie because I think he deserves that with that performance.
There was talk before Joe Willock came to Newcastle. There was actually talk of Newcastle looking at him. I remember I was texting you, Kev, because I was asking you about both the young lads. And what I've seen of him, he looks a great prospect, doesn't he?
He's a really good goal scorer. The problem is, Pete, he's small and he hasn't got the experience. To get experience, you have to play, and he hasn't been playing. And he hasn't been playing. So, now that we're down to the bare bones, he's getting a game. And he's looking okay. He's doing well. Pleased for him.
Is that a catch-22 though, Kev, for Arteta? Because he's down to the bare bones, so you can't really let players like that go out. And that's what he needs, as you've just said. He needs a bit of game time, some experience. So it's a tough one, really, isn't it, for the gaffer?
Yeah, it is a tough one. But catch-22, I wouldn't quite go there because Lacazette hasn't hit the ground running, although he's made up some of the other players better. With his performance, his goal output has been virtually non-existent. And Aubameyang, when he was at the club, wasn't doing it. So, again, the way they play with Smith Rowe wide or Martinelli wide and Saka wide, they're helping with the goals. The wide players are helping with the goals. But you need a number 9 to be scoring goals, and Arsenal just don't have one at the moment. So it's great that Eddie's in.
Good stuff. John, have you got one for us?
It's another Eddie. And it's another Northeast club. Now, Eddie Howe, I think, secured, safety. Absolutely amazing. 40 points. I mean, crikey, they looked like they weren't going to get 14 points at one stage. He's done a fantastic job. And, there was a question mark. Could he handle a so-called big club? Well, certainly has. He's revitalised the whole club. Not just on the field, but off it. Fantastic atmosphere. The owners obviously have helped with that. But, now St. James's Park is Bedlam again, glorious Bedlam, which you love, don't you? I mean, some of the seasons, when you look back over the last few seasons, it's been horrible. It's been toxic. Now the flags and everything, and everybody's together again. And it, as we all know, and a lot of my colleagues don't realise this. They always think that Newcastle expect too much. Well, they don't. All Newcastle fans want is to see their team entertain, obviously win. You don't have to win anything. It's just go there, every Saturday or Sunday, whatever. Have a good time. It's the end of the week. Just pay your money, enjoy yourself, and that's what Newcastle fans are doing at the moment.
I've got to say, though, John, we talk about, obviously, Eddie Howe and the team first and foremost, and the new owners, but I did want to give a special mention to the guys behind the war flags, because it's massively increased the atmosphere at St. James's, which in turn has fed to the players. The players absolutely love it. I spoke with Alan St. Maximum this week, and he was astounded that this week's Gallagher show was for him.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
That was touching, wasn't it? And it's great because I think it's starting to be copied by other clubs as well. And it just makes the atmosphere, because let's be fair, the atmosphere years ago, I thought was better, at clubs. And because of all the, all seaters, obviously the atmosphere is not as great, but it's starting to build again now at clubs. And I think the flags and everything helps it. It makes it a carnival atmosphere. Does help when you're winning matches, man, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say,
There's too many good with the flags flying at Norwich, for instance, but it's there, isn't it? It's good.
Okay, before we get into the predictions, Kev, there's one game that I wanted to look at. Is it a step too far today for Watford this weekend playing Manchester City? I think their race is run, and it would be a remarkable turnaround and a remarkable result to get anything at City, who need the points themselves, obviously.
This is it again. Manchester City are playing before Liverpool a day before. Manchester City want to stretch that lead and put all the pressure back on Liverpool. And they know Liverpool's got a Merseyside Derby. Manchester City have to win. Watford need the points. Manchester City have to win. So I think it's only going one way. They're going to make life a little bit difficult for Man City to start with, but once City click into gear, there's only going to be one winner for me, Pete.
John, that what Kev mentions, that Merseyside Derby, we touched on it at the start, but I mean, it's an old adage, but is it the only hope of Everton that the Derby could be a leveller, or is that out the window for Everton as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, as we know, form does go out the window for Derby games, but you look at the two sides, and I'd love to say something nice about Everton and help Kev here, but I can only see one result because Liverpool are a killing machine, aren't they, at the moment? They're absolutely devastating. I think the fact that they've got 5 forwards they can play now, 3 out of the 5 or 4 sometimes, they're going to score goals. And it's going to take an amazing disciplined performance by Everton to get anything. But yeah, you never write anybody. And I wouldn't write Watford off either. Watford's demise has been at home, hasn't it? They've got a terrible home rate. I think they've lost 13 times at home. They have got players to hurt teams away, Ismaila Sarr, etc., etc. But yeah, but I'm not going to put any money on it. I'll still go with Kevin with Man City.
Play it safe.
And I'm afraid I'll have to go with Liverpool.
Kev, obviously you'll be decked out in blue for the big one tomorrow, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. We'll get your thoughts about it next because it's time for our favourite part of the weekend. It is time for Danny Kwang's Hot Sauce Premier League predictions. By the way, we're running low on the old hot sauce, Danny. If you're watching, if you could just bang some over here.
I am too.
Yeah, I believe so. Listen, congratulations to last week's winner. It's our George.
Fantastic.
He topped the billing with 5 points. He got the Rangers score right. Rangers won 2-1 at Celtic. No one saw that one coming apart from our George. So well done to him. Good stuff. Some great games to have a look at this weekend. And in the house, obviously, we've got Scotty Shepherd. We've got his lovely wife, Samantha. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in theirs on a Saturday morning when they do this because they go hammer and tongs at it.
She's top of the league in that house.
Yeah, she's Liverpool and he's Chelsea. Just so you know. Brilliant weekend in there. And Danny's in as well, so that's good. As always, it's guests first, John. So prediction for you: Arsenal Man United.
Arsenal 2, Man United 1.
Super Kev.
I've got the same, Pete. 2-1.
Okay, I've gone 2-0 to Arsenal. Scotty's taken twos apiece. Samantha's gone 0-0. Danny Kwang's taken 2-1 to Arsenal. Second up, Brentford Spurs, John.
Brentford 1, Spurs 1.
Okay, Kev.
I think there's going to be goals in this game, Pete. I'm going to go 2-2. I'm going to go for a draw.
I've got the same as John, 1-1. Scotty thinks there's goals as well. He's got Spurs to win 3-0. Samantha's taken Spurs to win 2-0. And Danny's gone for a 2-2 draw. Manchester City, Watford. Get your abacus out, John.
Man City 2, Watford 1. I think it'll be closer than people think.
Yeah, good stuff. Kev?
4-0. No messing around.
No messing about. Quick interruption to say hi to Ronnie. He's at work, so he can't listen in. Just wanted to say, come on, you Gunners. Good luck to us today. Super
nice
Kev.
one, Ronnie. Nice one, Ronnie.
Good lad.
Top man.
Okay, back to it. I've got Man City 5, Watford 0. So has Scotty. Samantha's gone 3-0. And Danny's taken 3-0. Chelsea, West Ham, John.
Chelsea 2, West Ham 0. I think West Ham have their eyes on other things.
Okay, yeah, big time. Kev?
I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea, only because West Ham will have their eye maybe on the midweek.
Okay, I've gone the same, 2-1 Chelsea. Scotty's taken 2-0 to his beloved Blues. Samantha, because it's her husband's team, has obviously taken West Ham to win 2-1. I love that household, as I've said. Great stuff. Danny's taken a 1-1 draw. Last up, John, for the weekend, the big one, Merseyside Derby, Liverpool-Everton.
Liverpool 3, Everton. Look away now, Kev, 0.
Super Kev.
Listen,
The old
Pete.
hot chocolate song. I believe in miracles.
Yeah. Oh, listen. I would love to believe that, Pete, if I could, but I just don't see it. I think Liverpool, as John rightly said, they're a killing machine right now, and Everton haven't been defending great. So I could only see Liverpool winning the game. I think they're going to win 3-1, Pete.
Okay, I've got 3-0 to Liverpool. Scotty's got 2-0 to Liverpool. Samantha's got 4-0 to Liverpool. And Danny has 3-0 to his beloved Liverpool as well. That's it, really. It's going to be a tough. It's West Ham Chelsea on the road.
Yeah, they're on their way, mate. I'm telling you, it's happening.
Don't be shopping in Kent. Don't be shopping in Kensington today, by the way. Don't be shopping down there. Brilliant stuff, John. What have you got on the horizon? I know that we were just discussing. I don't want to spoil anything, but you're doing a bit for 442. What else is happening in your world?
Yeah, it wasn't perfect timing. I did a big interview with Sean Dyche, the latest edition, but thankfully it's on his musical taste, not too much on Burnley. It's still
brilliant
going.
Stuff. That
it's too late to pull it out. So, I've done another piece with Mickey Thomas for the next edition. So
okay.
I'm just praying everything will be all right with Mickey. I thought, crikey.
Well, I said to you as well, I jinxed it because I texted Stoney, didn't I, Kev?
Yes.
Say, it's Stoney, how are you doing? 24 hours later, he says, not too good, not working. So between you and me, John, I think we've got the Burnley jinx. Good stuff.
I don't think anybody saw that coming, did they, to be honest?
No,
they didn't. Kev, I said you're decked out in blue. That's because you're in the studio for the big one, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm doing this in the studio for the Merseyside Derby tomorrow. So I'm in all day. So you know where they do the early game, and we're in the studio at Anfield, and then obviously to do the big game. So I'll be decked out all in blue. I might just have a little black on as well, just. But no, I'm in studio.
It's fascinating. It's a good old day, but it's great for us fans to know what goes on. You know, that the build up to it, and when they call you through into the studio and stuff, so you're all ready. Fascinating. We'll be watching. Brilliant stuff, John. As always, great to see you.
Thanks for inviting me on. Great to see you, Kev. As
thank you, John. Great to see you, mate. Cheers.
And John, we'll definitely have to have you on the new musical element show when that starts on Hollywood Balls as well. Because you're a massive muso.
Can Bruce come on?
If you get Bruce Springsteen on, he's on. He's on. Brilliant stuff. Okay, that's it for us. Kev and I will be back hopefully on the Monday Rewind. Hopefully it will all be all right on the night with your teams. Wherever you are and whoever you support, may your team do the best this weekend. And we'll see you Monday. If not, we'll see you on Soccer Saturday next week. From me, Geordie Pete Redding, have a safe and brilliant weekend. Thanks very much.